Welcome back to another cold night in the shed, and welcome back to the M43 Turbo Series. So it's been a while since we've done a video on this. Unfortunately, Jason's car has been up on the hoist for a little too long. He's doing a rear wheel bearing tonight. So once that's done, he can put his front brakes back on and get the car off the hoist. So we'll be able to get the M43 Turbo car back up. It's definitely been a few months since we filmed the M43 Turbo build. Last time we were working on it, we got it to start and we found out that it had a blown head gasket. So here's some footage of that. Alright, so we've had heaps of dramas, we ran our wild wire. Things aren't going that smoothly today. So we're just going to leave the dump pipe for today, but I really want to know if this thing starts and runs just even NA. So, because obviously we don't know that yet. So what we've done is, we've jigged up a really janky little block off block thing, which will stop the, so that's for the oil feed, and I've duct taped the hole in the sump for the oil return. And I think that's all we need to do to actually get this thing to start. Now it's on the 85, we're just gonna put the key in, put a battery in it, and see if it'll start up. It could either knock, not start, who knows, honestly. It's a $1,500 car, you can't expect too much. Oh, she's dry. Okay, put it, go a little bit more. Was my throttle moving this, by the way?
Yeah.
It's stiff as.
That was moving.
It's very stiff. That's like...
That was moving all the way.
Don't need it. Perfect. Oh, that runs perfect.
Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Oh, doesn't like the throttle. It doesn't like throttle. Yeah, I feel like it's not getting fuel. I feel like the fuel pump's not working. Spray more brake cleaner in the intake and see if it runs again. It might have been just running on the brake cleaner. The throttle definitely sticks. I knew the throttle was sticky. So our throttle's stuck at about 60% throttle. You would have seen in the video, it just got stuck at the revs. I think I was recording when it happened. It just got stuck at the revs and I shut it off. Just trying to work out why that's doing that now. And it still seems like we don't have any fuel pressure. On top of that, obviously we've seen what potentially could be a blown head gasket. But first I'm just going to try to work out why the throttle's jammed and see if I can get it to run again. Maybe I'll put some water in it and see if it is got a blown head gasket. But... Oh, found our problem. I don't know if me or Jason put this in there to stop the intake, like stuff going in the cooler piping, or the previous owner did it. But that must have been in the intercooler piping and it sucked into our thing, and our throttle body is now all freed up. So yeah, check your cooler piping before you start your car. So I take back anything to do with maybe a dodgy fuel pump, etc., and not being able to rev up, because that may have just been the restriction. That being in the intake is not going to help. That's it's not great. Go again. my suspicions are that it's not getting fuel pressure.
That looks like the eyes go watch on TV.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh. So I'm gonna go with, we have some sort of fuel pump issue. I'm gonna have to chuck in another pump just to be safe. It definitely seems like it's not getting fuel pressure. If you put brake cleaner in the intercooled piping, it runs. It just doesn't seem to get any fuel pressure. So there's definitely some funky colored oil coming out of the drain. I'm then going to look into the fuel pump issue, pull the fuel pump assembly apart, just make sure we're actually getting fuel pressure. And I have a strong feeling that we're not. And that's causing our no run, because it only runs when we spray brake cleaner in the intercooled piping. So we'll do that, and then we'll get back to doing the turbo stuff, because there's no point to going and spending all the time doing all the turbo stuff to do that if it's got a blown head gasket and it's got no fuel pressure. So we will look into those issues first. Also, it was brought to my attention that in the last video, I was sitting in a wheelchair, which for some people might be very odd. So I thought I'd just give a bit of backstory to the shed wheelchair. One day Beck was like, hey, can you get rid of all this crap, take it around to the tip, and we loaded up a trailer and we filled up with all the shit we just didn't need that we were keeping for no reason or whatever, just junk, as you do. And we loaded up and went to the tip, and we got to the tip and there was this wheelchair. And we were like, oh, that's awesome, like we got to wheel around in the shed in it. And, you know, just another chair in the shed, basically. And that was like 4 years ago now. And surprisingly, it's actually quite comfy. So we're always arguing about who's going to sit in there. That's how the wheelchair become in the shed. And to us, it is very normal to have the wheelchair to sit in here and just to sit down and chill on it. So it's just more about convenience and being comfy. In case you were wondering why I was sitting in a wheelchair. So we're going to get straight into removing the head and changing the head gasket. Obviously seeing, we know that, well, we suspect it's got a blown head gasket. Clearly looks like there's water in the oil. So we're just going to change it anyway. It shouldn't be that hard. They're like $65 from Precision International. This isn't an instructional video. We don't really know what we're doing when it comes to 4-cylinder E36 engines. So we're just going to Google it and follow a YouTube video or some sort of forum, get the head off and have an inspection of the head, and yeah, just make sure that it's all good to just slap the head gasket in and put it back together. Then we're going to be full steam ahead. We're going to change the fuel pump because it seems like something's a bit funny there with how hard it's been to start, and it just really doesn't want to just run. So that could also be a contributing factor. And then we're going to finish the dump pipe, mount the turbo up, and we're going to get this thing to the dyno finally. I know it's taking a long time, but bear with us, we will get there, and we'll be having this thing making power soon. So let's get started.
Oh my God.
So as you can see, we just got the rocker cover off the engine. And looking at these engines now, and it was relatively simple. It took way longer than it needed to because I'm working with this 8-year-old toolbox that's got pretty much everything you need, but the trying to find stuff is an absolute nightmare. And I'm due for an upgrade. It's coming. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to make something happen because I'm sick of not being able to find tools, and it takes like 10 times as long, like, to do anything. Anyway, It's actually super simple to work on, which I do like that about it. I'm not a big fan of these 4-cylinder engines, and I never really have been. But the fact that they're so simple, and then just look inside the head here, you can see it's obviously single overhead cam, but everything's so simple. Like to take the cam out and put in a new cam in is like maybe, I don't know, 12 bolts or something. So it's so super simple. And yeah, you can see all the head studs, super easy to get to, and they are the same as the 6-cylinder ones, as far as I know. I'm gonna pull one out and double check, but I read on the internet somewhere that that's the case. Obviously not everything you read on the internet is correct, but it makes sense, BMW would do something like that. And I happened to buy a full box for my 2.8 that I ended up selling, so I'm pretty sure I've got brand new head bolts, to be correct, not studs, that we can just slap into this, so that is also good. Obviously they're a one-time stretch bolt, so best not to use them if you can get away with it. I've reused them before, but you really excuse me, I've reused them before, but you really shouldn't. Anyway, we'll continue on with this. We're going to take the intake manifold off next and slowly work our way to pull the head off. We can also see heaps of milkshake. Look in there. You can see it's definitely got a blown head gasket or something. Probably should have compression tested before we pulled it apart, but I was pretty confident that it had a head gasket, so I was going to do it anyway. The only problem is we don't know if anything else is damaged, but I'm going to take the risk. It's $65. We'll do it, and fingers crossed that the engine just works. So, let's get back to it. As you can see, the intake manifold is off. Not too hard. And there's a few little things you got to disconnect from underneath. There's a lot of silicon inside there. They probably went a little bit overboard on that. Some of that probably ended up inside the engine. There's a weird throttle actuator thing in there as well. Like a disc valve, maybe. Yeah, we'll re-silicon that properly when we put it back together. A bit less silicon. Now we just need to take the fuel rail off, disconnect all the lines for the fuel, take out the injectors and pull the manifold off. And I think that is everything.
I hope so.
Well, you're done already. Still to work on your car. And just like that, all the head bolts are out of the car engine, same thing. I'm about to pull the head off, but before I do that, I wanted to compare this to one of the 6-cylinder head bolts, just to make sure they are the correct size, and I'm not feeding you crap information. So, found our box of M43 B28 bolts. Look at that. It's the same bolt. So, pitch is the same, thread's the same. Good to go. So that's pretty good. So if anyone following along at home, if you have 6-cylinder head bolts, 4-cylinder head bolts, they're all the same, just different numbers. This only needs like 10, and I think normally they're like 14 or something for an M50 engine. So now we've got these. We can't put them in yet because the head gasket hasn't arrived, but as soon as the head gasket arrives, we'll be able to put them in. Alright, so we know they work. Now we're just going to pull the head off and I really want to see what's wrong with the head gasket, like whether it's blown from boost or it's just old or could be the stock one. We don't actually know if it's been replaced or anything like that, so pull it off and we'll have an inspection of the head gasket and the head, and yeah, let's go. So there's our head gasket. It is an L-ring one, so I would suggest it's probably been replaced before. I mean, it definitely has been replaced before. Yeah, there's no immediate signs of like a major break, but there is definitely maybe there some water coolant going on. So yeah. It's really not that hard to get the head off these motors and change a head gasket. Very simple, and being the 4-cylinder, everything is just smaller. So it kind of makes it easier to like work around and stuff like that. But stoked, it's off. Gonna take to a blade, clean up all this mess. Can't really see what's going on, but it's definitely leaking coolant. This is far from the correct thing you should do to check if your head's flat. And this is probably not that flat either, but I have used this and found a warp in an M50 head before, so that's good enough. Put this on here and just rock it and see if we can. Actually, it looks really good. It actually doesn't look like the head's warped at all. So that's good enough for me. You get a fair bit of material, take up any imperfections. I'll clean it up with a razor. So the razor blade here. We'll clean that up, clean up the head, and that'll be enough for this, I think. And we'll put the new head gasket in and we'll be all good to go. Ideally, if you're, I know this is a budget build, but if you take this head to your local engine builder, machine shop that does heads, obviously not every machine shop does heads, but they will pressure test it, crack test it, and give it a quick skim pretty cheap. So it's cheap enough that it's almost worth doing if you care about the engine and car. In this case, obviously this is like our missile car, so we're spending as little as possible. Beck's not going to have any mechanical sympathy with this car at all, so it's probably not even going to matter. If this works well, then maybe we'll build an M43 and try to push it that extra little bit and do some more things properly. But I just want to see if the platform itself works, see how it drives, and then we'll go from there. If it's good, then we'll pursue down the M43 path. If it's not good, then we'll probably end up going down inline 6 route and probably keeping it NA. We'll see, things change. But yeah, we'll just see where it takes us. Now we do the same thing with the block, just clean it up. Be careful not to get too much stuff in the oil galleries or cylinders, make sure you blow it out. We will be putting oil in the engine once we put it back together, and then we'll drain it out before we even do a first start and put a new oil and a filter in to get all the excess bits that end up in the oil galleries to try to help flush it out a bit. And just like that, we're going to end the video here. Apologies that it's a short one, but I wanted to get a video up for you guys because it's been a while, and I can't do anything else until the head gasket arrives, so hopefully that's here soon. And we'll finish this. Promise the next video is going to be finishing the dump pipe, putting it all back together with the new head gasket, and we'll have it running and driving under load. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything else with the engine's good. The head looks in good condition. It's got 950cc injectors I worked out today, which is pretty cool. Yeah, everything else seems like it's been done properly. So let's just hope that the rest of the engine's in good condition and we can put a head gasket in it and it will be just ready to take some boost. We will change out the fuel pump. I'll try to put that in the next video. Just to make sure that that's not causing us any issues. I've got a spare 85 pump there, so Walbro or something. Let me know in the comments what you want to see in these videos. pretty keen to get the Turbo M43 back together and get Beck in the driver's seat, because the plan is we're going to get my car out with the Turbo M50 and I'm going to chase down Beck in the Turbo M43, get some sick tandems in, and see how the Turbo M43 holds its own ground. I know some people in Australia have done similar builds, but they kept like the stock ECU on that, so really keen to see with an aftermarket ECU, good tune, what it can really do. So like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff, so I can keep doing this for you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.